Good afternoon, and welcome to the 2016 International Peace Day commemoration. I'm the Reverend Nathaniel Gadsden. I'm acting as your Master of Ceremonies. I am the co-chair of the Mayor's Interfaith Advisory Council. Russell Goodman, who's not here today, is the other co-chair, but I know his spirit is here with us. So glad that you took time to be here to celebrate this day of peace, because we're all, I'm sure, peacemakers in our own way. And God knows we need peace in our communities. Amen? Amen. Reading from Guerrillas of Grace, a poem that says, "Drive me deep to face myself. Lord, grant me your peace, for I have made peace with what does not give peace, and I am afraid. Drive me deep now to face myself, so I might see that what I truly need to fear is my capacity to deceive and willingness to be deceived. My loving of things and using of people, my struggle for power and shrinking of soul, my addiction to comfort and sedation to conscience, my readiness to criticize and reluctance to create, my clamor to privilege and silence and injustice, my seeking for security and forsaking the kingdom. Lord, grant me your peace. Instill in me such fear of you as will bring to make me wise, and such quiet courage as will enable me to begin to make hope visible, forgiving, delightful, loving, contagious, faith liberating, peacemaking, joyful, and myself open and present to other people and your kingdom. Amen." And with that, I would like to ask the Reverend Jeff Dunaway, who is a Buddhist, to give us a Buddhist chant and meditation. He is from the Blue Mountain Lotus Society. Receive Jeff Dunaway.
Thank you, Reverend Gadsden. Good afternoon, everyone. As we gather today, I wanted to just share a chant and a short meditation on peace to sort of start things off. Namo Guan Shi Yen Pusa. Namo Guan Shi Yen Pusa. Namo Guan Shi Yen Pusa. I started off with that chant because it is for Kuan Yin, and she is the bodhisattva or archetype, the embodiment of compassion. And she can be seen as one who comforts the troubled, the sick, the unfortunate, and those who are striving to achieve peace, which is why I thought it was so important for today. A translation of it could be salutations to the most compassionate and merciful bodhisattva who listens to the voices, the cries of the world. As we share today in this International Day of Peace, which seeks to strengthen peace and its ideals among all nations, we can look to the example that Kuan Yin gives us, the values and virtues of the compassion that she embodies. My sisters and brothers, as we gather today, standing together now and always for peace and bearing witness to our efforts to end poverty, protect our planet, and ensure prosperity for all, let us remember that we are all one, and that this is so key. We are interconnected with our words and actions, and that it is through compassion for each other that we can achieve peace. May the unborn, eternal, and sky-like true nature of all beings be surrounded with infinite love and light, particularly sending forth loving energy to those striving and seeking to build peace, serve others, and end suffering and violence, to all those who are striving to attain truth, and to those in suffering and sorrow. May they rest in the everlasting embrace of wisdom, mercy, and love. I just want to close with something. And thus I heard the Buddha said, with our thoughts we make the world. It is our thoughts that create our actions and determine how we act and create our world. How we approach and treat each other determines how we will or will not achieve peace and solve our problems. I'd like to close by having us just take a moment of silent meditation to reflect, in fact, on how our thoughts do make the world and the actions, and our actions, and also on the actions that we're going to take to address peace and justice when we leave here today, and I know others will be speaking about that as well. So with that, if you could just join me. Namu Amida Butsu. May it be so.
Thank you, Reverend Dunaway. Reverend Dunaway reminded us that this is about action. That is why we're here. At this time, we will have welcome remarks from Mayor Eric Pappenfuss, followed by the Police Chief Thomas Carter. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking my Interfaith Advisory Council and everyone here for taking the time to join us for this most important commemoration. International Day of Peace is being celebrated right now around the world, and I'm proud that we're taking a moment to celebrate it right here in Harrisburg. We are, of course, living through difficult times in our nation and around the world as people flee from violence and war or are forced to live with it. In our own city, we are engaged in a desperate struggle to save young lives and stop the senseless violence that has brought grief to so many families in our community. So as we stand with the leaders of many faiths gathered here today, let us be mindful of our own personal responsibility to create a better world by setting an example of peace in our own workplaces, in our own homes, and in our own families. Peace must begin at home if it is ever to spread abroad. The words of a well-known song express well the world's yearning for peace, a yearning that has become more profound than ever as we cope with so many random shootings, bombings, and acts of terror throughout our country. We will sing it together in a moment, but the words are, "Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me." I urge all of us to ponder these words in our own lives and in our own communities. Peace in Harrisburg and around the world won't just happen. We have to commit ourselves to making it happen. And I applaud the faith leaders here and Scotty and Rochelle Scott for being so bold as to call for us all to spend this International Day of Peace being nice to each other. Now, it may sound corny, it may test us greatly, but it's just what our city needs. And when we leave here today, let's go out these doors and let's be kind to our neighbors. Let's say hello to someone that we haven't said. Let's wish them peace and goodwill, and let's make their days better. I thank all of you and wish you all peace. Chief Carter.
Honorable Mayor, other guests here. You know, today is a day of peace, but every day should be a day of peace. It should not just be one day. I want to congratulate Harrisburg City. I want to congratulate the faith leaders for keeping Harrisburg a quiet place. We just had an incident where Harrisburg could have been like other places, but due to people working hard, due to people having the faith, but not only faith, people that had love and peace for their city, they came out, they stood tall, they spoke up, and they said it will not happen here. Let the investigation take place, and the truth will be shown at the end. So I want to thank those people who spoke like that. I want to thank John Watson, who was here, who was speaking out like that. I want to thank Scotty, who was speaking out like that. You know, you ask yourself, you know, what is peace? Back when I was small, I used to see the Hare Krishnas on the corners. They would put like flowers and like buses and stuff like that. They didn't have money, you know. Is that peace? Or you can think back to when you were small. I grew up inside the Baptist church, and they talked about Christ being born, a new baby, and that he was supposed to bring peace to heaven and to earth. Is that peace? Yes, that was peace, and that was also love. We need that peace, we need that love, and we also need the understanding that we are not perfect, things will happen, but let's work it out together. I want to thank the mayor, having faith in the agency, the faith in myself, you know, that we will see this city through hard times. Harrisburg, I challenge you. And I want to ally with the news media. I want the news media to partner with me to put out the good things that the city of Harrisburg is currently doing. Put out the good things that the police force is out there doing and that we're trying to do. You see, because I don't believe that the news media, they are enemies. I believe that I can use you and I can ride on you until you're broken down. So I do want to do that. I want you to partner with us, you know, to make people know who don't live here that Harrisburg is a lovely place to live and raise a family. Let's think about peace. Let's talk about peace. Let's also share love for each other. Thank you.
I was actually going to encourage you to give applause. We were much too silent in here. In fact, I really think we still need to give applause to both our mayor and our chief for what they do in this city. Thank you. At this time, we'll have Brother Ahmad Bati offer a Quranic chant. He's from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be with you all. I will be reciting chapter 2, verse 63, and chapter 56, verses 89 to 92 of the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون فأما إن كان من المقربين فروح وريحان وجنة نعيم وأما إن كان من أصحاب اليمين فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, ever merciful. Surely the believers and the Jews and the Christians and the Sabians, whichever party from among these truly believes in God and the last day and does good deeds, shall have their reward with their Lord, and no fear shall come upon them, nor shall they grieve. Now if he be of those who have attained nearness to God, then for him is comfort and fragrance of happiness and a garden of bliss. And if he be of those who are on the right hand of God, then peace be on thee, who is from those on the right hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very beautiful. Was it not? Very beautiful. We will now have remarks from Christopher Halijani, also from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, as well as the Reverend Sandra Strauss, who is Director of Advocacy and Ecumenical Outreach for the Pennsylvania Council of Churches.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum. So I'll start off with that. So Assalamu alaikum, the translation is peace be unto you. So the very first greeting in Islam that we give to anyone, and we're told to give to anyone, regardless of whether they're Muslim or Christian or Jewish or anything, is to say peace be to you. And it's not just a greeting, it's a blessing of peace that you are wishing onto other people, that may they have peace in their lives. I think that's a lesson that we could all learn, to look at every single person that we meet and offer a blessing of peace from us to them, saying, I hope that you have peace in all that you have going on. I also want to share, there's obviously a lot of things in the media today and in the world today that we see involving people who say that they're Muslim or that they're connected with Islam. There's no question that there are people that of any faith can make mistakes. They do things that they shouldn't do. They have poor judgment. I mean, it really is irrelevant what your religion is or what your background is. There are human beings involved, and human beings are fallible. So I want to share one thing that I think is really important. The very last speech, the final speech of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was a really important moment, because there were things that were said that I don't think that are expressed in the public quite enough. The first statement that I think is really important, we were talking about in the home. Mayor Papenfus said, in the home is where peace starts. You know, we hear people who want to try and say that, at least from an Islamic perspective, that Muslim men have this control over their wives. You know, one thing I want to just clarify is in the very last speech, the very final thing, the statement was, "O men, you have some rights against your wives, but your wives also have some rights against you. Remember, you must always treat your wives well." The second thing that was said that I think is important is, Allah has made you brethren one to another, so be not divided. An Arab has no preference over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab over an Arab, nor is a white one to be preferred to a dark one, nor a dark one to a white one. So the very last piece, right before passing away, this is the last speech that was given, was to say there is no inequality here. You are each equal to each other. And the final piece, as he closed out, immediately as he was saying this, he raised both hands, connected his hands together, and the statement is, "Even as the fingers of the two hands are equal, so are human beings equal to one another. No one has any right, any claim to superiority over one another. You are as brothers. I think these are lessons that it really doesn't matter what your background is, where you came from, where you grew up. If you look at these words, they're applicable to anyone at any time. And I think if we as a community continue to focus on that here, we can be an example for the rest of the world and the rest of our nation to say, this is how we live. This is how we all should be living. And that's something that I think that if we can exemplify that, we move ourselves forward, we move the city forward, we move the country forward, we move the world forward. Thank you.
Sisters and brothers, though I stand here as a Christian, I greet you with a term that does not come from the Christian community, and it's a term that I love, namaste. What I am saying to you is the divine light in me acknowledges the divine light in you. I find the definition of peace to be elusive. One thing I know is that peace is far more than the absence of war. Peace Women across the globe has concluded that peace is best understood in terms of human security, which encompasses much more than state security. It's a combination of economic security, that is having an assured basic income, food security, which is physical and economic access to food, health security, access to basic health care, environmental security, access to clean water, clean air, environmental integrity, personal security, freedom from physical violence and threats, right to human dignity and freedom of person, community security, and political security. This definition recognizes the intersectionality involved with finding true peace. Many of our world's conflicts exist because far too many of our sisters and brothers do not have access to the very basic needs that give them a sense of dignity and that give them a sense of dignity. Essentials like shelter, food, and clean water. Political systems that deny the security and welfare of citizens often find themselves entangled in wars and violence. Lack of access to basic needs often creates tensions in homes and communities. Racism and other isms cause us to view those who are different as other, sometimes less than human. And it is much easier to commit acts of violence, physical and non-physical, against those we've identified in those ways. In other words, we need justice for everyone. And as the saying goes, no justice, no peace. We often use the Hebrew word shalom in place of the word peace. Peace, however, is only a very small part of the meaning. Shalom can be used both to greet people and to bid them farewell, though when it is used, it means much more than simply peace, hello, or goodbye. Many Hebrew words go well beyond their spoken pronunciation, often conveying feeling, intent, and emotion. Shalom is far more than simply peace. It is a complete peace. It's a feeling of contentment, completeness, wholeness, well-being, and harmony. As Christians, we know that Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love God with our entire being, heart, soul, and mind. But he quickly added, and the second is like it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. As people of faith, we are called to be about creating a culture of peace, that is, loving our neighbors and working for a holistic sense of peace that seeks wholeness and wellness for all of creation. I should mention, actually, just briefly, that we are in fact doing that through the Council of Churches this weekend with our first ever Shalom Conference, creating a culture of peace that will take place up at the Hartman Center between State College and Lewistown. And our goal is to create a statewide peacemaking network to bring together people who do peacemaking in all capacities. But on this, the United Nations International Day of Peace, we call on all people to set aside false barriers and reach out in peace to neighbors, wishing and working for shalom for all people for the sake of this beautiful and fragile world that we call home. Namaste.
Thank you both. Very beautiful. You know, Mayor Pappenfuss read us the words, and now Pastor Manny Valentine will bring us the song through his beautiful horn there. I would like to be able to say I actually taught him all he knows, but I don't know how to play, so. But let's hear Pastor Manny Valentine. Amen. Sound very good. Thank you, Pastor. See, I think when you play that well, you should wear sunglasses. Be real cool. Very good, Pastor. And so how do we make it happen? It says, let there be peace on earth. It's a tall order, but it can be done. How do we know that? Because we're here. How do we know that? Because we've seen evidence of it day after day. And though the violence sometimes screams louder than the peace is still there. Amen? Amen. Amen. So how do we get it done? Well, we have some remarks from people who are getting it done. Ann Van Dyke, who is to me like a legend, having retired from the Human Relations Commission, Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, has done so many great things. And she's here to represent the Community Responders Network. And following Ann Van Dyke would be Dr. Oren Yagil. Yagil, hope I'm saying that right. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. And he's from the Hishka Emmanuel congregation. Yes, indeed. And then also a husband and wife team, Scotty and Rachel Scott. They'll talk about a call to action. So we're so glad to have them come forth and tell us how we can get it done.
Good afternoon, my friends. So I'm going to talk about a very specific way on a specific time that in Harrisburg we must be working for peace. As you all know, the United States has the strongest freedom of speech rights of anywhere in the galaxy. And sometimes those strong freedom of speech rights means that offensive speech is protected in the public arena. Sometimes that speech is indeed racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, Islamophobic, xenophobic, you name it. It is, after all, only offensive speech that needs to be protected. So what we have happening here in Harrisburg is an organized white supremacist group has requested and has been granted, as they legally must be granted, a permit to have a rally on the Capitol steps on Saturday, November 5th. And from my years with the State Human Relations Commission, we learned so clearly that groups like this, organized hate groups, have some goals with their public rallies, and one of their top goals is to get as many protesters as possible. They seek protesters, and for one reason is it gives them more media attention, it gives them the opportunity to claim themselves to be victims, it gives them, they hope, an opportunity to sue the state and the city for failing to protect their First Amendment rights. They have another goal as well, and that is to inflame existing tensions in a community, particularly if there are tensions between the community and the police. Harrisburg must not remain silent that day, and we also must not do as they want and go to protests. Their speech will defame all people of color, Jewish people, Muslims, all people who are religious minorities, anybody who wasn't born here, people in the LGBT community, people with handicaps and disabilities. They have a long, long list of people that they hate. So we need to remind ourselves over and over that silence is the welcome mat for hate. Whether it's our silence as a community when an organized hate group comes to town, or whether it's our silence as individuals when a friend tells a bigoted joke. Silence is the welcome mat for hate. And we have learned that the most effective responses when an organized hate group is speaking in our town, we have learned that the most effective response is to have a community unity event at exactly the same time but in an entirely different part of town. Our theme for our unity event is going to be, or is, what if a hate group gave a rally and nobody came, but everyone went to the other side of town to celebrate equality and nonviolence? That's what we will be doing on Saturday, November 5th. It will be a very positive, very upbeat, very multicultural event that you know it will be designed to particularly draw youth. And we hope that it's going to be held in the Harrisburg High Gymnasium, and that will be confirmed very shortly. We will also be reaching out to media to make sure they understand the importance of giving good media attention to that unity event, because our voices are louder and more meaningful than some group that came to town on that day to speak hate. The lead sponsors for the unity event are the Mayor's Interfaith Advisory Council, all of whom I love dearly, and the organization that I'm from, which is called the Community Responders Network, which is under the YW's umbrella. And let me say, we are looking for more performers, musicians, singers, dancers, poets. So if you have any ideas, please let me know who they are. And of course, we are welcoming more participants on the coordinating committee. So, though sometimes hateful speech has First Amendment rights, goodness has freedom of speech rights too. Amen.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me here today. I just heard today about this event from you, and I really hope that a lot of the community can attend this. One thing that Chizuk Amona congregation is putting together is an event, and there's more flyers out in the lobby, which I hope you'll take. It's a community concert. It's scheduled for November 20th. The title is Community Concert of Thanksgiving. This will be with a singer, Neshama Kalibach, who's worldwide known. Her father was a famous singer and a rabbi. And she will be coming here with a gospel choir from Brooklyn to sing together. And joining them will be 100 local choir voices from several faiths that will join together on the stage for a very powerful event. She's done it in a few other cities, and we've managed to bring her here. So on November 20th, and I hope many of you can join, we have several fantastic sponsors who helped us, and a few more that are joining us as we speak now. And looking forward to another community-wide bringing them together event. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. We're the new kids on the block, so bear with us today, please. We're with Team Scott Inspire. Our mission simply is to inspire kindness to our community. One of the reasons that we started Team Scott Inspire, we saw a lack of kindness and respect internationally, nationally, and locally. So we said, what can we do to inspire kindness? By attending events like this, multicultural events like this in our community. What better place to kick an event off like this than our state capital, Harrisburg? This will show other communities that Harrisburg is willing to saturate their community with kindness and respect. This is not, with that being said, this is not a once a week thing, once a month thing. Kindness is something that we do every day. It should be a lifestyle. It should be a way of life for all of us each day. Kindness comes in all shapes, sizes, colors. If you don't believe me, just look around. We're all here for one common goal, and that's kindness and to better our city. One last thing, then I'll let her speak. Kindness costs nothing to give, and it costs nothing to receive. If we all just think about that, we can definitely make this world, this city, a better place. Thank you. Excuse me. She doesn't want to speak, but today I think she's going to speak. We're just going to get some ideas of how we can incorporate kindness in our community.
So today we encourage you to go out into the community and show random acts of kindness. Open the door for somebody, wave hello, just greet somebody. Open your seat up. If you're riding the bus, allow them to sit with you. Maybe help your neighbor rake the leaves that are coming down. Just do something that would show kindness to your neighbors and encourage a better community that we live in.
Thank you.
Well, for me to start with the random acts of kindness, I'm going to hijack the program and ask Joyce Davis to come up for a second, because one of the best, not so best kept secrets in Harrisburg is the World Affairs Council of Harrisburg and the great work it does to bring peace to our community. Joyce Davis, let's give her a hand.
Well, I don't know why he called me up, but thank you, Pastor. And I just want to reinforce that this is a great city. We all know it's a great city. We have great people. We have great leaders. We heard two of them today that took time out from a busy schedule to do what? Promote peace. Let's follow their lead. Let's listen to what Team Scotty is telling us. Let's do something nice for somebody today. With that, go forth. Thank you.
And so the song said, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you all for coming. There's refreshments that's been prepared. The real peace starts now. The real, act of kindness starts right now. So what I would hope that you will do is as you get up, you will greet everybody in the space with a handshake of peace, love, and joy, and that encourage them to go forth and do the same. Thank you all for coming. Mm-hmm.